Thank you. All right, welcome everyone to our November the 1st Downtown Lexington Management District meeting. We're passing around a sign-in sheet. Please execute where indicated or just sign a place if there is not a name already typed there. The first order of business will be the review and ultimate approval of the October 4th, 2017 minutes, which are in your packet. Do we have any motions, modifications, or amendments? Have a motion by Tanya. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Woodford. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Steve, the treasurer's report.
Yes, if you'll notice, November 17th, our current balance is a little over $100,000. We had a little over $42,000 in expenses the prior month, mostly, again, block by block. You'll notice also that we had a couple of expenditures by Branson Group, which is the group that's doing the porous pavers, I guess, around the tree wells. I'm sure we'll hear a little more about that. As I said, our ending balance is a little over $100,000. And Jim, we're running out of money.
And the tax bills are out. I sent mine in yesterday, so we'll have some money short, hopefully.
Oh, good.
That's all right. That's all right.
Any questions?
I know it'd be a while when you said this, yeah.
I'm good enough then. Okay. All right, let's go to the old business. We'll start with award-winning David Warren. David, would you wish to make any comments where you accept the Academy's award?
Just thank you.
Well, thank you.
And there's a couple other award winners in here too. So first, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Downtown Lexington Partnership, formerly Downtown Lexington Corporation, every year we have the annual meeting and awards luncheon. And this is where we recognize businesses and individuals in the downtown area who make a difference. So David with Block by Block, the committee chose him to receive the Outstanding Individual Award. And I'll just give a brief description about what that award means. It says, given to an individual who has contributed to the growth, vitality, and overall appeal of downtown Lexington, making it a better place to live, work, and visit. So I think David is definitely deserving of this award. And then the Downtown Lexington Management District won the Landscape and Streetscape Award. And this is given to a business or organization or property owners for outstanding effort in maintaining a visual pleasantness in downtown. So the Downtown Lexington Management District won, and Lisa with Falcha, and she was given the Smiley Pete Award. And this award is given to the organization, business, or individual that has a great impact on how people feel about downtown Lexington, named in honor of the longtime K-9 resident of Main and Limestone, and created as the ultimate in compliments for one who helps everyone enjoy being downtown. So Lisa has been located in downtown for 16 years. She was on Limestone, and now she's on Upper. So she's always been a big supporter, and everyone knows Falcha. So.
Congratulations.
And one more plug, the luncheon will be held on Monday, December 4th at the Hilton, and tickets are available. Also, we will have Terry Sweeney, the new president and CEO of the Downtown Lexington Partnership. He will be there, and he will be giving brief remarks. But if you have any questions about ticket sales, you can contact Rob in our office. So,
How much is the ticket? $40.
But for you?
400 for you. But it should be, the annual meeting keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, and I think this one's going to be the best yet, just with the partnership, the Downtown Lexington Partnership, and Terry being there. There's a lot of exciting things going on. So put it on your calendar, December 4th at 11:30 at the Hilton.
He will have been on the clock for 4 hours
Yeah.
at that point.
Like the detailed report.
Yeah, detailed report.
Okay, David.
David, you're up.
I just had a few things to go over. Probably see a couple of new faces out today. We have 2 new employees. I didn't use any more hours. I just took one of the shifts and split it up, so we'll have more of a presence downtown. So I did do that. The bird problem at the lawyer's office, I think we resolved that. Got them to put more spikes on the building. So far, so good. Haven't seen anything.
She sent an email, right? That they
Yeah,
put more spikes
yeah, she's taking care of that.
from the pictures you sent.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's resolved.
So far, well, the weather's been bad, but I think that did take care of it. I've been checking it on the daily, and no more roosting up there. The porous pave has been installed on Broadway and the one on Upper. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure somebody else is going to want it after seeing what's up there now. And Mr. Webb, I spoke with a counterpart in Minneapolis about the radios. He said all they did was provide a radio to the dispatcher for their police department, and that's how they were able to get in touch with it. I'm gonna see if Officer Florence might want to pass it on, see if they might want to do that. We're talking about having a direct line to the police, and we're hoping that we can do that for situations where they might need to talk to the dispatcher immediately instead of going through the phone, and be able to do that.
And so this was office building security,
Yeah.
right? So, and like you're,
There was a way that the office building security could be in contact with the police and management district.
Yeah.
But just closer lines is all.
Right.
Could be helpful.
And
Because you got eyes and ears on the ground,
right.
to see things going on.
Yeah, some of the things that police might not be aware of, or somebody else might not call, but one of the ambassador would call. Because a lot of people won't call, they'll just walk past it. And then they'll complain about it, but won't do anything. And we also we got with DLC, I'm sorry, with DLP, got some more cards made. We're gonna try to get these cards to all of the businesses, pass them out, see if we can get a little more feedback from them on how the program is doing also. That's it for me.
I have a question on this sheet here. Where, the phone number, where does it ring to?
DLC's office.
Okay.
So
there'd be a
someone's always there.
Phone number for
Yes.
all of the organizations.
Yeah, and that's the number that we publicize on the website for everyone to call. So if you call that number, you'll get the DLP and the management district.
I just want to say thank you for David for coming up with the idea of the porous pave. It looks really good. I went to the one at the Henry Clay Public House. The one in front of that was a ditch, and the owner was always complaining about it. And it looks really good. The color choice was excellent.
That was your choice.
That was a self-plug.
I don't remember that part. I thought you made the fun. I'm not. No, I really thought you did. But at any rate,
I wanted cardinal red.
Hey, David, I have a question on the.
Yes, sir.
The schedule of your folks on the weekend, is it very similar to what it is during the weekdays?
No, we stay later on the weekends. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, we're here till 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And
How many people do you typically have, or is it dependent
it'll
on
just
events and stuff?
it'll be two on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. But with the two new people that I hire, I'll be able to switch it around when need be. Like you said, on an event during basketball season, might have an extra person out also. Made it a little more flexible for us.
How are you coming on your office?
They've started work on it. He said it'll be about a month, but when they tell me that, I'll wait till the beginning of the year.
That'll work.
one other thing, Jim, in David's report, we've got some spikes on things like loitering, panhandling, park count. Maybe Officer Florence will be able to discuss some of that, but you probably noticed, have you been noticing stuff?
The park count has mainly been first thing in the morning. I usually get here by 6, and by then, around the library, that's where everybody will be asleep at then. I'll wake some of them up that'll get up, but once, I say by 7:30, 8 o'clock, most of them will get up by then. So but overnight, that's where they'll sleep at.
I got an email from a restaurant owner this past week that had some issues. I think it was Saturday evening.
Dudley's?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently so the panhandlers are in the parking garage with people having trouble, trying to figure out how to park
In the lots.
Yeah, and showing them how to do it, expecting to get
Right.
paid for it.
So a couple times in the past few weeks when we've been to the Kentucky Theater, there's somebody, when we go in, he's usually just sitting on a bench with his bags. When we come out, like we were down there Friday night, he's actually in front of the Barney Millers,
Sleep.
stretched out with his sleeping bag, like, okay, I'm good for the night right here. And I was wondering, does he get to sleep there? Do people get to sleep on the sidewalks all night, or are they shooed away? Or what's his status?
He's one of the guys that I usually wake up in the mornings. Him, and then there's a new guy with a cowboy hat on that pushing a cart with all his luggage and stuff on it. I try to wake them up. Most of the time they'll get up when I approach them, you know. But like I said, late at night, once they'll camp out overnight. And like I said, if no one calls, if we don't walk past them, or we might not be at that side of the district and might not see them. But if no one calls, I mean, the police, if they don't know about it, you know, if we can get more people to call and let them know, it probably make a difference. But if they don't know,
Just call 911, or what number?
I wouldn't call now. What you suggest? Just calling
If it's something that's not an emergency, just dial
non-emergency number.
A non-emergency.
3600. When you're talking about people where they're sleeping, a lot of times it's on private property. If there's no signs posted, if we don't have somebody that has control of the property calling us, legally it really makes it difficult for us to force the issue if they refuse to leave. The library, they're supposedly putting up some signs, I don't know if they have yet, they're going to face inwards on those columns that are going to say no trespassing during non-operating hours or words to that effect. So that's going to be extremely helpful for us when the library's closed, for us to not allow people to be on that, under that overhang part. Now, coming out of the public sidewalk, that's a different issue. You know, with the Kentucky Theater in that large vestibule, you know, if Mr. Mills called us and said, hey, this guy's been loitering here, I don't want him to be here, then we have absolutely no problem with taking care of that. But if somebody's just sitting there, you know, without them, you know, being drunk or disorderly or something like that, it's very difficult for us to move people. And I know the person you're talking about there,
Yeah.
Barney Millers. You know,
It's Barney Millers.
It's kind of the same thing too. He's kind of in that alcove, and you know, we can go up, we can talk to him, we can encourage him to go to shelters. But as we all know from being downtown, we've got a core group that they just won't go to the shelters.
So it would have to be like Barney Miller or somebody on their staff.
Yeah, I mean,
It would have
we
to.
don't expect somebody to be there at 1 o'clock in the morning
Right.
to call us, but if they reach out to us and say, hey, I don't want anyone, you know, sleeping here at night, then we can certainly go and address that.
But should they be post a sign themselves?
That would help, and I know those are very unsightly, you know. If you'll notice, pretty much there's signs all the way down Martin Luther King from Main Street all the way to 3rd Street, you know, for no trespassing because of a lot of the issues that we've had down through there. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily want that on the facade of their building, but it doesn't have to be the red and black ones you buy at Home Depot. You know, you could fashion something a little nicer that would go with what your frontage looks like. That would help us.
Oh, so you can produce your own, as long as it says no
Sure.
trespassing.
Just say, no trespassing, and that's to satisfy the law. That's really all we need is no trespassing. And if the business is closed, then we can articulate that if it was ever brought up in court as to why we cited this person, you know, and made them move.
So most of the time it's up to the business owner. Like you said, with the guy that you were talking about, there's at Barney Miller's. Sometimes I'll see him over there and someone is inside of Barney Miller's and they won't say anything
Well,
to
see,
him.
that's the thing, you know, if the business owner doesn't mind being there,
Can you do?
there's not a whole lot, you know, obviously we can do if they're fine with it.
And this is why I wanted Howard to come today. So Howard normally works during the week, and he's worked the downtown area for many years. So when you, now you have a face to go with a name, and you can feel comfortable to approach him, say hi, get to know him. He'll give out his phone number. Howard works almost all of our events, so he's very familiar with downtown and the usual suspects. And he has good advice, and you can always text him and say, hey, there's a situation over here at Mill and Main Street. Can you come check it out? And if he's working, he'll come check it out or tell someone else to come check it out. So I think it's really important for business owners to have relationships with the downtown officers and get to know them, because it can help when you don't know what to do or there's a problem. Instead of trying to handle it yourself or approaching the person, they're here to help. So.
And we really would like for people, like you said, a lot of times they'll tell you something, or they'll tell me something that happened like 2 days ago.
Right.
You know, but for whatever reason, they don't call when it's going on. And we can't emphasize enough, we put resources where we feel there's a need. And the biggest way the department understands a need is from complaints, from phone calls. They're not bothering us. Even if it's just somebody, you know, if somebody's if you own a restaurant and you have people sitting outside and somebody's walking by and maybe they have like a mental illness or they're intoxicated or something, even though they kept on going, if he bothered people, still call us, try to give us a description. You know, everybody has cell phones now. Something as simple as just turning on your cell phone on the video mode and just getting a few seconds of them going by. You know, I'm not saying that you need to confront them or you need to get in their face, and then just show that to us. Now we know, hey, this person at this time is doing this. And little things like that add up when we can try to make a case for maybe getting a mental health treatment or things like that. So, because oftentimes, you know, they see us, they don't act out, but when they don't see us, then that's kind of where we get a problem. So that's why we really encourage people to call us, to let us know what's going on, even if it seems minor. If it's bothering you, if it's bothering your customers, then we want to know about it because we want to be able to do what we can to help you. So if we could get that word out to members, that would be.
And we're also in the Management District newsletter, we're featuring each of the officers in the bike unit and doing a quick Q&A, and just so people feel like they know them and can recognize their face. But there was a couple weeks ago, my mom was coming down to an event at the Opera House. She called me and she said there's a guy. She was in the Village Idiot parking lot. She said there's a guy standing outside of her car. He's obviously waiting for her to get out, so he asked for money. I said, take a picture. So she took a picture. I sent it to Howard, and he went and gave the guy a ticket. And so it does work. And at least, you know, that incident was reported, and apparently that guy's a regular that just hangs out in the parking lot. So. But I know at the last meeting, Andrew from 21C said he thought panhandling had increased. What are you seeing, Howard? Do you think?
I mean, we still have the hardcore group of people that we pretty much always have. That's just what they do. They'll take all the services that they can get. They're still going to do the wrong thing because they want to drink, they want to buy Serenity, the drug that we see all over downtown, even more prevalent than alcohol, really. And that's, you know, like yesterday, it kind of goes in waves. You know, yesterday there were a whole lot on South Limestone. Then you may go another day where you don't see any. And a lot of that has to do with maybe some are in jail. Most of the things that we can arrest them for, they only get a day or two in jail. So if it seems like you see the same person out there, it doesn't mean that that we're not taking enforcement action. It's just things that we don't control, how long a person stays in jail, and things like that. That's why it may appear you see them more.
What is Serenity?
Well, it's that synthetic marijuana. It's the stuff where they spray. Sometimes they spray it with like raid bug killer, things like that to get them high. I mean, if you've been downtown, you've probably seen them. They kind of look like almost like a zombie. It's almost like when people huff paint. They kind of get a dazed look on their face. Sometimes it can make them throw up. Sometimes they convulse. Sometimes they get very like wild-eyed and kind of like psychotic for a little bit until they get fresh air in them. And oftentimes, it doesn't last very long. So oftentimes we'll see them basically frozen with it still in their hand, and then the lighter's in the other hand because it's not like regular tobacco, so it doesn't stay lit. So they're constantly having to light it. And the fact that most of them smoke, most of them pick up cigarette butts, so they're rolling their own cigarettes. So it's kind of hard for us to just assume until we actually see a reaction what they're consuming, because it doesn't give off an odor like marijuana would. You can really smell, and it's a pretty good distance away. So that's like the biggest substance abuse. It's more than alcohol. I mean, we hardly arrest anybody for being too drunk anymore. They're almost all high on this Serenity stuff. So that's a constant battle.
What about the sleeping at Phoenix Park or the Pavilion? I mean, I've been out of town, but it has gotten colder, so.
Yeah, well, the Parks Department took out, I don't know if people probably noticed, maybe 6 weeks ago, they took out the tables and the chairs because they were having people that were pretty much living there 24/7. But apparently, like I don't work at night, but I knew I was coming here, so I was talking to some of the people who do work at night. They said that there still are people sleeping, they just lay on the ground. It's a city park. We can enforce Parks Department rules as law, but they have to make them and they have to post them. So there's no signage or anything about the pavilion that says you can't stay there overnight, can't sleep there, anything like that. So if the Parks Department decides to move forward with that, then we would be happy to enforce it. We were hoping for something along the lines of maybe something after 3 a.m. That gives people
The bar crowd,
coming out of the bars at 2:30. That gives them time to Uber. And it's not something that we're going to be standing there. A lot of people think, well, if you make these laws, then quote unquote innocent people will get caught up in it. We're not going to be ticketing people because they're walking through the park. We're going to go up and give people the option when they're sleeping to leave first. I mean, we want compliance. We're not trying to be the heavy-handed, put everybody in jail, or they don't have money to pay their full costs. They don't have that kind of stuff. And there are shelters available, so people shouldn't feel like, well, where are they going to go?
Right.
They have an option of some place to go, but for whatever reason, because of their behavior, because they just don't want to, they don't do it. But we could go through there at 3:30, and once they're woken up and they're moved on, more than likely they're not going to be there at 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's another big complaint we hear from the bar owners around the Pavilion area. Kathy, do you have any input or?
It's a big, we run them off as much as we can, and now that the sides are back, we're going to have more. So the signage, move that signage up.
Yeah.
Is that something we could look into, posting signage?
You want me to call Monica, or do you want to take care of it?
Yeah, if you call Monica.
Monica?
I'll call Monica.
Okay, thanks, Jake. I think, that would help. That's some of Debbie's complaints with Dudley's, and then I know Centro and then some Sky Bar, and they've complained. And when I've been down there late at night, you'll be leaving the bar and there's people setting up camp, so. Are there any more questions or?
This one. Howard, it seems, has there been a shift? My perception has been there's a lot of people gathering in front of the library right out by Main Street. It seems like they used to be in the park and now they're more up on the street.
Well, some of that has to do depending on the time of the day. They have the person that feeds out of the back of his truck. So a lot of times, a couple of days a week, they'll kind of stand out there on that Main Street side and kind of wait for that.
Okay.
They're on the sidewalk. It's a pretty wide sidewalk. If they really congregate hard there, or if they're laying down across it, we make them move so that people can feel like they can pass by without, personal space kind of being violated when you're trying to get through. That's kind of generally, and just the library, because of the services they offer, it draws a lot. They can't obviously smoke in there, so they want to come outside and smoke. There's benches there. There's not really any benches anymore in the park, so you've got 2 or 3 benches that are right there on the Main Street side, so that makes a natural gathering spot. Depending on the weather, they kind of follow the sun, as I do. You know, you want to be, when the shade is a little bit kind of cold, so, you know, that can play into where people want to congregate.
Yeah.
I had a question as far as somewhere by the time the spring comes, is it any way to have dividers put on those benches where they just can't lay across the benches? Because like by the time the weather changes, like a bed, and is there any way to have dividers put on there just to keep people from laying across them?
Yeah, I'll check. Who takes care of those benches? Is that Parks when you look at it?
Well, that's kind of a gray area. George Milligan is the person who put those in. But I would actually like to remove those 3 benches there because once the Christmas lights go up, they unplug them and play their cell phones, and then my lights don't come on at night. And they sit there and pick the bulbs out. So if we can get permission to remove those, I'll do that.
Who would have to grant that permission?
Well, I'm not real sure who would. Sometimes things just disappear.
Kevin said he would talk to Sally.
You know, you get
I'll put my 8 on.
I was at this international placemaking conference a couple weeks ago, and they're put on by Project in Public Spaces out of New York. And they'll tell you the research benches are off. You don't even have you can have kind of stoops that are 18 inches high or blocks that people can sit on, but benches are good for photographs, but that's about it.
And beds.
So we're talking about the 3 out on Main Street next to the library.
And they are kind of in the way for people to get out of their cars, because, you know, there's not a lot of room there with those wells, with the rain gardens. You know, it's pretty narrow, and then you have those benches in there. It's just one more obstacle for people to have to negotiate to get in and out of the cars.
Okay.
That would help us.
Okay, I'll work on that one.
Lisa, what are you seeing?
Well, down where we are, I don't think we get much, to be honest with you. I mean, we get the odd person walking into the shop and stuff, but after bartending for a number of years, I can know how to get them out, but we don't see much down there. We might go to some carnivals and stuff, but they're all pretty good at getting them out, so.
I know Dale Ferguson at Fayette Cigar complains about that bench being in front of his business all
We
the
also don't
time.
have benches.
Yeah, even the ones on that other side.
Yeah,
I mean,
those are-
like what Mr. Grossman said. I mean, I don't see anybody sitting on a bench other than maybe in Triangle Park, you know, when they're eating lunch or something like that. But these benches that are on, they're just not conducive to really
What about the ones at the bus stop?
to eat.
Yeah,
I mean,
those
they
I was
don't
gonna say, the one in
lend
front of
themselves
Dale's
to just
is
sit
a
there
bus
for a
stop,
minute
I
and
think.
then move on. It's more like he said, where if somebody has nothing to do, they'll just stay there all day.
All day, yeah.
Because I know, like you said, Mr. Ferguson, he really wants that one gone, man.
Oh, he has talked to me about that for a long time, yeah. It's just conducive for,
I'd say that would be hard. We don't have any benches, so I couldn't imagine, yeah.
But it won't, by that being a bus stop in front of his place, will it be hard for them to say, let's just remove this, or would it be the same thing, just take it out,
I'd be hesitant to remove that one because it is a bus stop, and I see people sitting at it who are waiting for
wait on the
buses.
bus?
Does it belong to transit or is it on road?
I don't know.
It's the same design as the other one, so I was thinking it was one of you guys. So, something to look into.
it's not.
So for the next meeting, I'll talk to Monica about posting some signage, and I'll get with Howard on the wording and see if Parks can post signage at the pavilion. I think that'd be a huge help, and it would make a difference for the property owners in that area. And then Jake, you'll look at the benches.
I'll look at the
and-
benches. Okay, you're going to call Monica then, you said?
Yes.
About the signs?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Include Jake on your email.
I'll do it.
Okay.
What'd you say, Calvin?
Anything else for Officer Florence? thank you for coming. It's very enlightening.
Thanks for all that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime anybody has any questions or anything, I know Catherine has my contact information. If there's a way we can, get that out.
I'll send it
more
out
to people.
on the board.
They're always, with my hours on there, and if I don't answer, they can just leave a voicemail and I'll get back with them. And I always say, if it's an emergency, call the 911 first, and then just let me know later what. I appreciate your all's time.
Thanks, Howard.
David, do we have a plan for the rest of the tree wells, or I know we've done what we've done, are we going to try to continue that, or is this just a pilot, or what did we decide to do here?
I said it just was gonna be a pilot, and then I guess if everyone likes it, maybe do some more later on down the line, once our funds are there. But I was hoping that once they see it, maybe the city would want to do something on them also. I'm gonna try to, I don't know if Alex will tell me, but I was trying to find out how he mixes, the whole procedure. Will he be willing to tell me?
Do it yourself?
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna do that, but it would be nice if he would.
Yeah.
Oh, there's instructions on those cans. You can buy that stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's instructions mixing.
On how to mix it and everything. But you gotta balance it.
It would be, yeah. How many trees do we have? Do we have a count? Anybody know?
There's 77 between Rose, Main and Rose, and Broadway on both sides of the street.
77.
But that includes trees in the rain gardens.
Yeah, we're not doing rain gardens,
Yeah.
right, okay. David, what's the count of how many of these we could do? Not take out the rain garden trees, but do we know?
Like I said, those 6 that we did, it was $5,000. It was $4,800.
For 6?
Yeah, 6.
One was bigger, right, David?
Yeah, so,
It cost you a little
so that
more.
pretty much was, that's pretty much was 2, the bigger one in front of Henry Clay Pub. That was like 2 tree wells, the size of it.
Maybe
So-
you could get us a count, if you can sometime, not the rain garden,
Right.
but just the ones that are like we were talking about, so we have an idea of how many we're potentially looking. It'd be nice to have the whole district look uniform.
Oh, it'd be great.
You know?
And do different colors.
I'm gonna let you take one of the colors. I'm not
cardinal
involved.
red, no cardinal red, no big blue.
Maybe we could budget, so many for
Exactly.
2018 and
Yeah.
so many for 2019 or something, spread the money out.
Speaking of budgeting, Woodford, any update on grants? Anybody else coming to you?
No contacts right now.
We've got our bench program, somebody mentioned, we just got our bench done, right? Okay.
We've paid for that sponsorship. But I do remember we asked, are these benches comfortable for people to sleep on? This is the book bench project, and we were told they're not. So hopefully that won't be an issue, but
I did see some promotion of that deal, and we weren't even mentioned in it.
where'd you see it?
I think I sent that.
You did, you sent that out.
I was like, yeah.
Also, I'm still
It was
getting
not
caught
mentioned. I mean,
up.
I think we ought to at least be a title sponsor or whatever.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
So how much, what are the parameters of the matching grant program? How much can people apply for, or businesses?
Whatever they want.
Oh, really?
What'd you say?
Whatever they we really don't have strict parameters, do we, Nick?
I've been asking for that. No, we do not. I think
We probably ought to come up with something.
we need to, and I don't know if it's something that you all want us to put together, at least our thoughts on it, but we need some type of guidance on what the board wants to see out of matching grants or sponsorships, or what exactly this board's purview is. But we're certainly happy to put something together on our thoughts, but it's really up to the board's discretion, and we can kind of act as administrators for your all's wishes.
I suspect Terry could probably give us some guidance, don't you think, Steve?
When I looked before, it was not the easiest thing to come with the guidelines. I called Global, and
Right.
I don't. I need some guidance. So. But I mean, I think for right now, what we're doing, it seems like the requests have kind of slowed down. So, but Terry, the new president and CEO, has a lot of experience with management districts, so hopefully he can provide some insight. So I think that'll be good. So.
Have they even been publicized? How widely have they been publicized?
I don't think there aren't any to publicize.
Yeah.
And that's the concern, I think. If we create a program, because right now there isn't technically a program to publicize. Like, it is just, we know that we have some money and certain people know that we have money and they've approached the board. I think that in order for this to be a successful and widespread program where we get the most bang for the buck, we have to create some type of program to distribute that information so we can accept a bunch of bids and we can actually have more of an impact, spread the money out, do whatever it takes in order to have a kind of widespread impact. I'd love to hear from Terry. Great.
Beverly, what about any light update on anything?
We are putting together a concrete plan of buildings that could be lighted, both public and private. The cost of lighting, whether it's the downtown art center in Washington, the front of it with color, what that would cost, but then take that same concept and apply it to other buildings. Isabel Yates wants to be involved in this. Good. I think the time has come that we need to get a group of people together. I don't know if we should call it a board, but a group of people to work on this project. And it's also been suggested that the organization, that this project raise some money. And in order to encourage private property owners to, if they want to do a lighting project, maybe this board, at least to get started, could say we can give you, of course you'd have to go through all the, apply and that sort of thing, like a $15,000 matching grant to do lighting on the front of your building. But the thought was that it would be an incentive once we get some hard plans in place. It would be an incentive to property owners. It was suggested maybe we try to raise $100,000, 10 people giving $10,000 each. So I already have the first 10,000, a pledge. So that is something. Once you get Isabel involved, because she knows what comes next, you do this and then this and then this and this. So I must say in the past 10 days, things have moved right along. But that's where we are.
Good.
I might add, the old courthouse, it's a missed opportunity if the city doesn't light that properly.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any money in the budget. You may know, for lighting the exterior of that old courthouse. With all the money we're spending there as a city, it's a disservice to the community not to light that building.
Woodford, I think there are plans to do some lighting of that building, and the clock.
Well, and also bringing the utilities down underground. It's a missed opportunity during a construction project of that size, not to bring the utilities down on the Short Street side. If you sit out in front of Dudley's, like the old courthouse, it screams at you.
Well, there are several opportunities to increase lighting downtown. There are buildings that have been lit and the lights are out. I mean, sometimes it just takes going to talk to a building owner, a church. Of Christ Church, a steeple, Central Christian Church, two of them come to mind, that there's interest in enhanced lighting. This is what we're doing. This is the board. This is how much money we've raised. It's part of a whole project. Are they aware how much lighting their steeple brings to downtown, or lighting that big window on the side of Central Christian Church? Sometimes just by talking to business owners you can, and property owners, you can get things done. So I think it's very encouraging. And once we get, I think when we came in September, it was more to kind of gauge people's interest. Do you think this is worth pursuing? So we got very positive feedback, so I think we're going to do some concrete plans, and then, with your all's permission, would like to come back and say, this is it, bang, 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 bang. Talk to Terry, get their buy-in, and maybe come back to the management district to see if this is a project the management district might like to take on or sponsor in some way.
Anybody else? Kevin, are there any opportunities for the courthouse, as Woodford referred to, or is that money all allocated spent?
Jake, I'm trying to remember. I think there is some money in there for some type of lighting. I'm not sure that it's to the extent that Woodford is discussing. But I think people are going to be satisfied with that. Back on just to point Woodford on the power lines, I think everybody in our realm wanted those lines buried.
And it's $3 or $4 million.
And it's a hefty price.
Yeah. But while it's a war zone, would have been the time to do it.
Yeah, but $3 or $4 million is not a small amount.
It's a major budget too.
Price.
But it's not good.
Anything else, anybody?
I wanted to say one thing. So Steve went to Amsterdam for, what was the name of the conference?
It was an International Placemaking.
International Placemaking Conference in Amsterdam. So I just wanted Steve to share what he learned, what other cities are doing, if there's anything we can implement here or think about. So.
Well, it was, there were about 46 countries that were there. It was held in Amsterdam. It was put on by this Project for Public Spaces in New York. And they do these conferences annually in different places throughout the country. So their focus is really how to make places better places to live. And most of their work is based on the research from an urbanist called Holly Wyatt, who was out of New York, and did a lot of time-lapse videography of people and how they interact in public spaces. Getting back to design issues, and David made the comment about putting something between the benches. Some little benches are just taboo, really, in all the research they do. But the problem people have is when the things that they do to keep the undesirables out, keep everybody out. And the whole focus on creating successful public spaces it boils down to the program that you have in those spaces. And when we look at what we're doing at Town Branch, especially behind the Rupp Arena and so forth, there's been a lot of work gone into the programming component of it, because the programming really needs to drive the design component of what you're doing in these spaces. But again, things like pop-up parks. Some of these cities have vans that'll take these out to a particular area, just have a park out there, just artificial grass, put in planters and so forth, then have games out there, things like that. In Amsterdam, there's, as you all probably know, there's a significant biking that goes on there. And the pedestrian, the biker, the cyclist has priority. They got a significant amount of density there. If you take 1.5 million people and think about all of that in an area inside New Circle Road, there's a lot of density. permits there. It's expensive to have a car there, but they make it very easy to get around. You have the street, you have the parking, or the cyclist lane, which is up kind of like what they're doing down Vine Street, so it's segregated from the car itself. And then you have the pedestrian area, which is just another area. So, and in some of those bike paths, they have a little strip in the middle because it's a two-way, but most of the time they're one-way. And so you're actually cycling on the same direction that you would bike on. When you're in the downtown area, you have the street lights. There's a light for the pedestrian, a light for the cyclist, and a light for the motorist itself. As far as motorists, you have cars, but you don't have that many of them. But you have the tram, you have buses, so you have a lot of stuff going on. A lot of parking facilities designed specifically for bikes. I mean, they house thousands and thousands of bikes, but it's just a cultural thing there. And again, it's a lot of density. Everything's within, that biking distance. I was talking to one of the cab drivers, and he made a comment. He said, no matter if he hits a biker or a pedestrian, no matter if it's their fault, he gets charged. Because technically the pedestrian has the right of way, even if they're screwing up. We've had issues with people texting and so forth. And the week before I left, I was walking across Vine Street at Mill and stopped there talking to the couple that I had lunch with. All of a sudden you hear this car comes to a screech. Bam! This guy comes flying over the car, lands on the ground. He's laying there. I run over, the lady comes over. He's on his left side. His left arm is behind his back. His leg is, broken. Blood is coming through. And the guy wasn't unconscious, but he said, I was texting him, and he walked right in front of the car. But the guy was moving at a pretty good pace. I mean, he slammed on his brakes. Again, you have to be cognizant of the pedestrians around there. So that is a key, I think, differentiator is the fact that they're very focused on the people that are out there on the street, whether they're biking, cycling. So that's kind of it. We went to actually a couple cities, Utrecht, which is about 20 minutes away by train, which is actually the size of Lexington. And they had taken a 6-lane interstate that kind of went through that area and actually shut it off, built their central train station there, and then they were developing a whole, basically, city block right there on the interstate itself that they had shut down. But again, everything is focused on the core. The development is in the core. They're very restrictive because they have a lot of green area around it, but everything is kind of compact and there's a lot of density. Of course, I made a comment. I said they had about a 700-year head start on us. but most, like in Amsterdam, most of the stuff that you see, the cyclists and all that, really didn't get started until the 70s. So it's not like they started 200 years ago.
Very interesting. Thanks, Steve.
I had a quick question for Ms. Webb. In the district, you got a lot of those silver electrical boxes. Can those be used for art? Where you can do like a wrap, some type of wrap on those?
The KU boxes?
Yes, sir.
I don't think you can paint those. We tried to do that behind the Financial Center on Vine Street, and I think we're told that you couldn't.
Not even a wrap either. Not paint them, but it's a wrap that you can put around them, like they use on buses and stuff like that.
Right.
Where you can put different art on there. Is that something that
I'm not sure.
A lot of cities have done that, and I think we can do it. I checked into it when I had some money to spend on infrastructure money, and I decided not to spend it on that, but it's something I think we should explore. I think I've got some in my phone. I took a bunch of shots up in Ann Arbor over the summer.
But I saw it in Detroit. They had them in Detroit.
Someone is actually working on that. Have you seen the one?
I saw one. Yeah, I saw that one.
Somebody is doing that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was thinking but I saw the one in Detroit. They had like transformers on there and everything.
Question for KU?
They have given permission for us to do that, to put wraps on, because we asked about the ones that we
Yeah, I think our traffic engineering controls, a lot of them are for
Somebody's,
yeah, I saw one someplace, and I hate this sort of stuff. What they did is it's kind of directional, and it says heads up and that sort of stuff. And I'm the sort of person I hate when somebody says stupid like heads up. I'd rather have artwork on it. But that's just my preference. But I think it's something we should explore, David, with the city. And I'll find out who's, I'll see the kind of
It's like
traffic
painting
engineers.
drainage,
and that's coming back also.
They're coming back.
Getting ready to do another project with that also.
Can I mention one other thing I forgot? The entire town of Manhattan, zero homeless person that I saw, and zero panhandling the entire town. That was there.
Wow.
Zero.
Why is that?
Well, I'm sure they have a social network in place, but all their social services are out. So they are not in that core of downtown. They're on the very periphery. And so they keep them out of it. But they do take care of it. There's much more social fabric there to take care of those people. But again, I'm sure those people are no different than our homeless people. They got mental issues and things like that. We just didn't see them.
If anybody would like to see any box art, those metal boxes, I've got some from Ithaca, New York, and from Ann Arbor on my phone, place I went this summer.
Anything else, anybody?
I was going to open up a question for the board. Do we need to meet monthly? Are we required to meet monthly? Just as a suggestion. Seems like a lot of time.
I agree. Anybody know off the top
You're
of their
expensive by
head?
the hour, Mr. Fraser.
We have. I've already pretty much.
Whoops, we can't afford it.
From anyways.
Maybe for the next meeting.
I guess the ordinance, is the ordinance set up a monthly, you remember anybody?
Remember if it sets up the meetings, most times we try to leave that to the board and their bylaws.
We can take a look at Whitford, and quite frankly, when Terry gets here, I'm probably putting too much stock, but he's been in management district for so long, I'm hoping he'll bring some synergies to us. As Lauren said, make everybody's life a little easier.
Every 2 months? Or
Yeah.
Try to get to quarterly over time?
Well, it's kind of like the new DLP. You're meeting every 2 weeks. That's a lot. Or every other Friday.
Yeah,
Trying
but
to.
well, that's just until we get
Get him.
on
That's
board.
what it's-
Because we have a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah,
commitment. But
something to think about.
I'm like you, yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's less is more sometimes.
We tried doing that with the main roads, and it just, problems festered. We waited too long, and so the board ended up, we do meet every month. But it was just, suddenly we were reacting to things that we should have taken care of the month before. That's just
I'll
our
look at the
situation.
ordinance and see, but I don't recall, I like Kevin's
It
right.
might be the chairman's call. If we've got something going on.
We
need
could always
to
do it, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
does the group kind of feel like every other month would be enough?
I'm with Woodford, I think unless there's pressing, and it's something we need to set up where the executive committee gets together more often going. But I think every other month makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Instead of making it every month, could it be something that's just, like you said, at your discretion, at the chairman's discretion?
Yeah, we'll
Well,
have
we're
it
gonna
every
have
other
some
month.
scheduled meetings, but
Yeah, we'll have a
maybe not
scheduled
every-
meeting, but if something
Right.
comes up, we can always call one. If something like Beverly's got something we need to deal with now, and a light issue we can get, or whatever,
Well, I think once Terry gets in, we can have him send updates monthly.
Sure.
We need every other week or something like that.
Will Terry be able to attend our meeting December the 6th? That would be the date, I think.
He'll be here.
Good.
Starts on the 4th.
We'll look into that, Whitford's a good idea. Anything else, anybody?
Actually, one just real quick thing, sorry, Steve. Terry starts on 4th.
December 4th.
Is there, I know this is convenient for a lot of us, but is there a spot over there we could meet so everybody could see the new office
Sure.
as well?
Is it big enough to accomplish that?
If it's not, I haven't been in there.
Well, we had a meeting over there the other day. It's not that big. I mean, if it's that room we've been
Upstairs
in.
room?
I just thought it might be nice for everybody
Is
to
there
see.
another room?
There is, but we don't have a conference table yet.
Okay, let's do it in the future then. That's all right.
And we are going to have an open house once Terry gets here and settled. So.
So we will meet here in December and then figure out whether we're going to meet in January and maybe skip till February.
Right.
Okay.
That's the plan, I think. Yeah. We'll try to get Terry to come to this next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know you'd be swamped, but still.
Yeah, right. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one more thing. Beverly, if you want to talk to Jessica Walker, I believe that she has a lighting project for the courthouse. I think it's program.
Program.
Yeah, you might want to catch up with her.
Is she in Parks or what?
No, she's in planning. Jessica.
She's the architect, correct? Yeah, she lives in our building.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks, Ken.
I know she lived down there.
All right, I guess that's everything. We stand adjourned. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.